Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you all are doing well. Today is the day five of our session. That's on AI, data, and climate innovation. And we have with us our speaker, Dr. Chris Sotropoulos, who is basically from Greece but living in Australia. And he has extensive expertise in global commercialization of innovative education, social enterprises, healthcare, renewable energy, and technology. And he is also a commercial lawyer, having advised, negotiated, and structured businesses that have expanded globally and signed deals with Fortune 500 companies. He has taught entrepreneurship and MBA programs focusing on innovation, corporate strategy, and venture development at universities and executive programs. He is also a frequent international speaker at forums in Europe, US, India, Asia, Africa, and Oceania. So the themes include law, negotiations, agriculture, artificial intelligence, education for emerging nations, youth and women empowerment, peace building, as well as nation capability development. He also serves on private and public governing boards and charities in several countries. He was awarded Ambassador for Peace by the Universal Peace Federation for his peace building activities in Africa. He is also the current president of Rotary Melbourne, the first and the largest Rotary Club in Australia and the Pacific. And he holds a PhD in molecular microbiology, a law degree from Australian universities, and has completed executive training at the Harvard Business School. Sir, a very warm welcome to you, and the floor is yours. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here, and a very exciting forum. And I hope all is well in Pakistan and your region as well. What can I say about AI? AI is booming, out of control, in a positive way, scaling enormously quickly. And if we see what's going on in the US alone with the valuation and revenue of NVIDIA released in the last few days, the Gemini 3 program, the Sora program, what Anthropic is doing now with Microsoft. These are called hyperscalers, these companies, because they're in a massive mode of growth. So that is very important for what we're talking about for a number of reasons. But let's not get ahead of ourselves in the sense that as this is a youth climate action forum, the focus needs to be on not the tool, but the person driving the tool. So we all get excited about smartphones and all these AI wonderful things, but it's all subject to human designed algorithm metrics. Even though with some of the companies, Anthropic are telling us that within 2 years they have the ability to code for everything that we desire, 100% coding, but requires checks from human beings, of course. So what I'll do now is I'll share my screen and talk a little bit about the climate side and how this is impacted. So this is an image of Australia in the region that I'm in the Melbourne area, beautiful coastal, pristine areas. And we're very passionate about retaining our environment and making sure that we don't do anything silly in a manner which causes disruption. So the youth action as a driver. So what we're trying to figure out here is, you see the image of the AI robot and the human. Who leads who in this game? And remember, we are talking about climate action. We are talking about AI and data. Is it technology? Should we bow down to technology, or AI, the so-called religion of it will give us everything and we must listen to it? How does it relate to global peak bodies, whether it's the United Nations or the COP conferences, regional conference peak bodies, the ASEAN, the BRICS, your local communities, as well as the traders and the financiers? Now, the grouping that I have for trading financiers is an unusual one in this type of presentation. But what I'm referring to is those who make money out of these transactions and those who fund the transactions, because very little happens in this world without those two individuals who often sit in the background, even in major geopolitical activities. So these two groups are well and truly into the model of AI and data. So that means that will progress substantially. And many of the peak bodies and the financiers are also interested in climate change. So these are good connects to be aware of as younger members of our society tackle these problems. But who should be best to lead? Should it be the international bodies? Should it be the individuals? Who knows best and why is my answer to that question. You know, who knows best is the people who understand their local community. And some banker out of Frankfurt or trader out of New York and London does not understand your community. They don't understand my community. They don't understand what happens after hurricanes and typhoons and the impacts of earthquakes, as well as droughts. We saw droughts in what we refer to as Western Asia, causing significant derailment of politics in Syria and migration. That was long before the political unrest. That was actually a precursor being the climate change. So understanding these metrics is very, very important. Because this is a youth forum, I propose and say that the best people to move this forward are the youth, because you as a collective body have more passion and drive than my generation or the older members of society, where we are often caught up with economic issues, family issues, lifestyle issues, and we don't really have the same concern and passion as the young do in relation to the environment. I can certainly say that. We, as my generation, had a lot more concern for the environment than our parents did. But let me give you a startling piece of data. My parents' generation was less consumerist and less destructive on the environment than my generation. And my generation is a lot less destructive than the youth. Now, that's a shocking statement to hear, but the youth often eat out at restaurants, often travel frequently, often consume lots of energy with their activities and their electronics, but they don't realize that that's actually causing a lot of damage to the environment. However, the youth, because they're politically disconnected to what the middle-aged and mature members of our society deal with, have more political freedom and passion to take this role on. And I think it's great that they can leverage the tools of AI and data to promote climate change. And you can see from this image here, this Tanzanian image, that clearly this is an issue that's local, and they're targeting local issues, which is the right way to do it. So just some data, which of course, anyone interested in climate change will understand, but also very important to acknowledge. AI can deliver energy optimization, absolutely. It can integrate and look at efficiencies of all energy sources. And I refer to all because that will include the renewables, but also the non-renewables. It will obviously impact forecasting supply and demand. There's even talk in my part of the world for the energy consumption at lunchtime to be free, because we actually don't consume a lot of energy during lunch, which is most bizarre. Managing smart grids, efficiency in our living systems, whether it's buildings, homes and transport, as well as industry. So they're fairly simplistic data points that can be managed. But it's good that they are, because at the moment they're not. I know, for example, in Australia, there are many, the size of a residence can be quite big, 2, 3, 4 bedroom. And if there's one person in the house and it's cold, they'll turn the heating on for the entire house. Inappropriate. So we need technologies and AI and others to say, hang on a second, your energy systems need to change in order to provide best, efficient, and less destruction to community. Emissions monitoring and reduction. That is common sense. Yes, we understand that. Climate modeling and prediction, very important also for our crops and how we live and how we protect ourselves, and UV. And UV is a major problem in Australia, one of the largest skin cancer nations in the world because of the ozone layer and its deterioration in parts of this country, and with UV being extreme during parts of even late spring, you get a lot of major issues. So now we have that as a daily monitoring event with our Bureau of Meteorology. Informing of early warning systems and disaster responses. That is common sense again. The mathematical modeling for that exists. We just need to implement it. Managing resources, biodiversity monitoring, land restoration efforts. Some of that is known at an IT level, but it is not comprehensive. And I've spoken previously to forums in India where, as a former microbiologist, my question was, how do you know what the diversity of the organisms, minerals, and vitamins in the soil is after you've grown particular crops? You might be looking at 2 or 3 nutrients. Beyond that, what are you doing for the rest? Not looked at. So, and that has material impact on the production and the quality of the product. Sustainable water management systems. We're hearing obviously a lot about global warming and how there's less water for us to manage. And now with data centers, goodness me, they need lots of cooling. So that's an issue which a lot of people are not talking about as they race to expand on the AI side. Developing conservation strategies as well. So how do you engage with AI? Well, you can see here on the image on the left, the key is that it's a number of people very passionate and very hands-on, because AI is just a computer system. And believe it or not, that's all it is. It's got some smarts, but beyond that, it's what happens on the ground. That's the key. And that's where the collective image here should be almost a call sign to say that's the sort of stuff we need to do in order to leverage AI, because AI must work for us, not the other way around. Devise your competitive strategy or advantage. So as a former lecturer at one of the Masters of Business Administration programs, I always say to people, in business and in life, what is your competitive advantage? Now, with the youth and the environment, is it your local expertise, your access to community indicators, observing changes in birds, fish populations, crop yield, leaf color, disease, animal population impact? So where I live, when I moved to this area 25 years ago, in a city or just outside the central business district, there were no birds. And I came from a leafy green environment, huge, lots of trees, lots of green, lots of birds. The birds would come up to you, you'd feed them. I moved here, there was nothing. However, in the last 10 years, families have moved in, children have been born in the area. They've planted more trees. Birds are now coming in. Bees are coming in. The entire community ecosystem has changed substantially. And there are very common logical senses for that. But only someone on the ground can measure that. AI can't measure that. Solar satellite imaging can measure little bits, but not really a lot. So this is where you as youth have that competitive advantage, looking at on-the-ground local indicators and other metrics that you see relevant as well. If you see people are ill, you think, oh, why are we getting lots of a particular type of disease in this environment? Something's going on. Are we importing food? Is the soil terrible and the food that's being produced is weak in its nutrients and vitamins? That's what you can do. So what you should do is you should reach out to national and global bodies, devise your plan, organise your team, like we saw in that image 2 slides back, lodge your proposals. You notice the theme here? You are being the active ones. You're not reacting to someone else. Liaise with professional providers of interest to be part of the team, because one of the things that national and global bodies are scared of is lack of experience. So if you have as part of your team an advisory group, which are professional mentors, community leaders, scientific advisors, accountants and lawyers, even if they're friends or local community people, perfectly good. I've assisted and mentored people in the Pacific for their local community refurbishment, where they're looking at greening the environment, but part of the purpose was, and this is without AI, part of it is for food crops, part of it is natural biodiversity, so natural trees, and the other one is just using it for food, as in growing vegetation. One of the things I've noticed as I follow what's happening internationally is that there are also a few of the big tech philanthropists. And Demis Hassabis, Nobel laureate, you may know, CEO of DeepSeek as well, and Dario Amodei, CEO of Anthropic, speak the right language about community and caring versus some of the other chaps who are more popular, more known, but not so much talking about the environment. Now, they can get you, and you need people who have access to compute, and that is firepower, as well as data centers, and then closer to home, people with environmental assets and political cover as well, because you'll need that as well. Now, these things sound as though they're really quite hard, but these are touch points which you will not receive in a book about what the youth should be doing. Yet these are the sorts of things my life experience has told me. Take the shortcuts, build these relationships, and move forward. Finally, be fearless. We all live with the next comment, whether it's at your stage of life or my stage of life. Be fearless. Never fear asking 100 people for something, because often you just need one to agree, and then you're ahead of your peers. So that one person, you forget about all the other 99 that stressed you out and didn't help you, and etc. So remember, though, that there are many people that want to help you. They exist in different parts of the world. They could be youth. They could be people in the other categories we mentioned in the previous slide. Reach out to them, and reach out to us as well as speakers and as forum organisers and other participants, because that's what we're here for. Here in Melbourne, it's 8:30 on a Monday evening. Many people would be enjoying their time with family, relaxing, or going to the gym or whatever it is. But for a lot of us, giving back to the community is important. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here today, giving you my thoughts. And as you can see, my thoughts are very much straight to the point, as opposed to all the flowery, wonderful things and metrics that AI and climate can do. So on that note, I will stop sharing and look forward to answering any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris. It was really a wonderful presentation. You explained in a very detail about AI, climate action, and what is the role of artificial intelligence. You have given some real-time examples as well. So it was really a wonderful presentation. Before moving towards question answer session, Ms. Rania told me about some of your, like you are working on renewable energy projects as well. So, I mean, before moving towards question answer session, I would like to know more about it, like what kind of projects are they which you are working on related to business, that is renewable energy. So I would be more interested to know about it, and then we will be taking question and answer sessions.
Okay, so wind turbine, there are some alternative wind turbine technologies out of Singapore, which are able to convert the wind which you have on top of towers a lot more efficiently than solar and the big ones. So instead of being the big wind turbines, it's much smaller. It's like a can of Coca-Cola with holes in it, and then there's a turbine, and that has fantastic energy conversion that can be put in a little town and converting energy or storing it into batteries or storing it into solar. So we also have access to a range of batteries and solar technologies from different parts of the world that we're moving into different parts of the world, into Cambodia, Philippines, Australia as well, because there is a bit of a reluctance in some communities in the West because of Donald Trump to move into the renewable area. And of course, in Europe, because of the war in Ukraine, a lot of countries have had to reopen coal mines because the energy that they were receiving from the Russians has shut down substantially. And therefore, they've had to go back to alternative mechanisms. But yes, there are lots of renewable projects. If there's interest in Pakistan, happy to help. 100% happy to help. We have good friends in Australia with your background. And so any entry points are very valid as well.
Thank you so much. That was a kind response. And I'll be then moving toward question and answer session. We have Farheen. Yes, Farheen, go ahead.
Hello, everyone. First of all, it was such a wonderful discussion. So, AI is becoming, we can say, the central to climate action. But don't you think its effectiveness still depends on the quality of data we collect and the inclusiveness of the people it serves? Basically, I want to say if the technology grows faster than our ability to distribute access a fairly climate solution risk becoming a tool for the new for the few rather than the protection for the many. So my question is that how can we ensure that AI driven climate solution empower vulnerable communities, we can say, instead of widening the gap between those who have climate data and those who are left without it? Thank you.
Thank you, Fahim. A very important question. And the way to do that is simple. Do not focus on the big AI data projects. Programs like Sora and Gemini 3 are able to work with you to identify what sort of information you need for your local ecosystem to gather. Now, you're not going to get access to satellite data. It costs a fortune. But you may be able to say, okay, in my particular ecosystem, these are the 300 inputs. And this is where the local inclusiveness element comes in. You specify the inputs and you say, give me a list of 400 things we should be doing in our community. That's the value of AI and data. And then, if you want, you can feed that into other local communities and have projects across 2 or 3 communities. Or you can get your data and feed it back in and say, well, listen, what should we be doing? What technologies exist? Or what free resources exist in other parts of the world that we can leverage in order to continue what we're doing? You can also ask what grants are available from national or international bodies that can help us do what we do. And I'll give you a funny example with that. Rotary International, as you know, has clubs in different parts of the world. Environment is one of its 7 core areas. So it is looking for projects. So there's an example where Rotary will not dictate to you the international requirements. It'll say, right, tell me what your proposal is. Tell me what you want to do. That sounds really good. We'll give you some money and some resources and off you go. So that way you're avoiding the very common expectation that big data is for the wealthy, because it is, but if you use it smartly, it can help you as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris. Followed by this question. This comes into my mind, like what are the risks of like relying too much on AI for climate change? Whether it comes to weather forecasting or there is any other information. I mean, what are the risks that are involved when it comes to AI connection with the climate change? Because as you already said, that we cannot totally 100% rely on AI. So, I mean, if you can just tell us few of the risks, like 2 to 3 important, which we can I mean, which are important for us. Yeah.
Okay, so AI risks are always mitigated by what you see on the ground. So when you open your door and you look outside, when you go down the street and you look at the river, local river, when you look at some of those factors or wildlife, they're local factors that I don't care what AI says. If AI says you should be doing this and you think, hang on, that doesn't make sense in my area, then don't do it. So you need a common sense road test. And often the road test is by elderly folks, pre-technology people in their 60s, 70s, 80s. You say, listen, we're thinking of doing this. What do you think? And I'll say, oh, I remember back in the 50s, this is what used to happen. And that's what you need. So yes, relying exclusively on AI is wrong. It's 100% wrong. I've seen in my legal practice, no one uses AI. It's wrong. We have determinations from our court system not to use AI, unless under very specific circumstances. So back to the environment situation, ask the questions, get some information, then pass it through a logical road test. Does this, do you think it'll work? Now, if you're not sure, you say, let's try it and we'll see. And if you start seeing, observing results very early that are contrary to the expectation, then change the activities. Now, you might do that through AI. You might do it through common sense, trial and error. So yes, the risks element is possible, but common sense should always drive an override AI.
Thank you so much. Do we have any other question? If there is no question, I have a last question that would be asked from Dr. Chris, if you allow me. We have seen different, climate-led movements across the globe. And do you think that how can youth-led movements like leverage AI, artificial intelligence, for better advocacy? Because when it comes to young people, we try to, be more vocal and convey our message to as many people as possible. So, I mean, when it comes to advocacy, do you think that how it is possible that youth-led platforms, youth-led movements or organizations, or you can say youth-led entrepreneurs, how they can leverage AI for the advocacy, especially?
Okay, so I'll exclude AI in the first part of my answer. No one likes to give power away. Not in Pakistan, not in Australia, not in Europe, not in the US. So when a young person says to someone with power, give me your power because you're doing a terrible job, the old person's going to say, I don't think so. They're going to say, you're too young, leave me alone. So, however, power politics is what the important thing is here. So, for example, we've seen, it's a little bit of an unusual example, but it's a valid example. We've seen in the Gaza-Israel conflict in America, Donald Trump had a lot of pressure to restrict the activities of the Israelis. That pressure did not come from the middle class America or from the wealthy America. It came from the young. The young at the universities said, right, we've had enough. What we're seeing is wrong. Do something about it. And it got to a certain stage where Trump just said, oh, hang on, this is, wow, it's scary. Yeah. Therefore, it's power politics. So you have to get people that believe, it's like early adopters. No one's going to give you transition of power. You need to get a few people, as we said in one of the slides, who are political, a little bit of politics, a little bit of professional, access to international bodies, who believe in what the movement is doing, the local movement, to support it. they produce a few political goals, successes, by using AI, because AI will help design programs. AI will draw on data, and what you've got to do is just make sure the data is correct, but it will give you sources of data that you have not thought of. So you might say, give me an example of data from other parts of Pakistan, other parts that of the globe that have similar environmental factors, and list the factors. What the temperature's like, what the drought's like, what the humidity's like, etc., etc. AI gives you that. Okay, get a few young people to check out, makes sense, then come up with a program and have some of those older individuals that believe in you, and they're around, and as I said, you don't need more than a couple to help you get funding to enact the program. So AI, as we said, will give you a source of data, maybe a protocol, and then a feedback loop to go check the protocol after a couple of months. But it's the youth that are the drivers here. And leveraging, I'd call it an advisory board of elderly members of the community who believe 110% in what you're doing. And believe me, there are people out there, whether it's local or international, and then leveraging bodies like Rotary and others who say, listen, we've got a bit of money. We love local projects because it's you improving your community, and off you go. So I don't see it as impossible. I see it just, it's like a toolkit. You've got to follow the toolkit and leverage AI, absolutely. Leverage the data that it collects, absolutely. But check it, that's all. And you be in control, not the other way around.
So can I ask, I want to ask regarding this, that in contemporary international system, when we analyze youth movements are increasingly shaping global governance by leveraging social media, data campaigns, and grassroots advocacy. So in this context, can they put pressure on states and we can say multilateral organization to adopt more ambitious, accountable, and equitable climate policies when we talk about the traditional diplomacy when it is very slow or ineffective? Don't you think?
Absolutely. Yes, Fahim, I think that's great. I think you should do it. But I think it needs to be as you said, grassroots, from the ground up, not from the top down, never from the top down. It has to be from the grassroots, and it has to grow political activism around the world. Like, as I said, it's a terrible example, but the Gaza, Israel, saw a phenomenal youth political global activism. Unprecedented, never before has Israel ever had so much pressure. And it's come through social media, and they've acknowledged it. They've said, we didn't control social media enough. Now, forget about the Israeli side, but the point is, when we move to the climate side, it's the same thing. Because unfortunately, what happens when you get someone like President Trump who comes in, who says climate change is ridiculous, then there's an entire generation of people who just don't believe, who just believe it, and they'll continue polluting the planet. Whereas the young ones, who will be on this planet much more longer than I will, and older, my older friends, they've got to live with it. So I think it's smart political activism. I mean, not violent, never violent, but just smart grassroots political activism. And the social media mechanisms, magnificent. The way you can connect with people around the world, I think it's great. Thanks, Bahim.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris, for your valuable time, insightful perspectives, and unwavering support. Your ability to, simply, you explained the complex ideas and inspire the meaningful action that has left definitely a lasting impact on all of us. And we truly appreciate the dedication you bring to this discussion today, and encouragement we have seen that you offer to young people, especially. I also believe that young people should invest in green business, and they must be the green entrepreneurs, because it is a need of time. and so we have to think about it. And as you are also linked with the renewable energy business, so we will definitely be seeing the opportunities or the potential collaborations in future, how it can be beneficial for your business to work in Pakistan or in the region as well. So I think that's how, because we believe in collaboration and partnership. So once again, I would like to thank on behalf of YDF, Youth Diplomacy Forum, and all the participants. I would like to thank you for joining us, and we will be getting in touch. So thank you so much once again.
Good, thank you, and let's make it happen.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.